Welcome in. So happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me always. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Purusha Intuitive, where we're going to look at the energy via the tarot, astrology, and any channeled messages that come through. So let's get into it. It's been a little bit of a hectic week lately, or I should say like leading up to this week. Sorry, I'm hearing some type of reverberation. It's been a little bit of a hectic. Where am I hearing this? Hold on a second. I should say like leading up to this week. Sorry, I'm hearing some type of reverberation. Hold on a second. Maybe that's just coming. Sorry, from my device. All right. Let's get into it. I don't want to spend too much on this because it's kind of been a little bit of a shit show over here lately. So I apologize for my technical difficulties. Definitely chime in if something's not going right. I kind of just get into my own world, into the reading, etc. And I don't always recognize if there are some issues or difficulties. So definitely keep me posted. All right, let's get into it. I hope you're doing well. It's been I don't know. Well, we're just moving in, sorry, a little bit long-winded. So we're just moving into Sagittarius season, whoop whoop. I'm very excited for this energy. It's fire energy. We kind of need some of this enlivenment. We need things to not be so heavy, not be so emotional, not be so just like all over the place, right? There's just been a lot of heaviness lately, and it's not always the easiest to navigate through. Sorry, this thing is like bothering me so bad. I don't even know where it's coming from. Hold on a second. Let me check something. Sorry, I apologize. Hold on a second. Let me check something. Sorry, I apologize. Okay, here we go. Sorry. I think I fixed it. Forgive me. Thank you so much. All right. That's kind of like how the day has gone. You know, it's interesting. We just moved into Sagittarius season. Let me reground for a second. We just moved into Sagittarius season. We have 5 planets in retrograde right now. We have a few of those planets that are actually going direct this week. Saturn is one of them, which is very good for us, just in as a whole with the collective, etc. Because Saturn really teaches us our lessons. So when it's in retrograde, it has a tendency to kind of like fixate or stick on those lessons, especially those ones that like aren't really getting through to us, you know, those things that like we maybe don't want to listen to or turn a blind eye to, etc. Also, Mercury will go direct this week on the 29th. So we'll finish Mercury retrograde. Saturn will go direct as well, leaving 2 planets, but then we have Mars and one other one is going into retrograde, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in December, but we'll readdress that when it's appropriate. I don't need to get into semantics. I apologize. This has kind of been a long-winded energy to get going, but I appreciate your patience always. We're going to look at the weekly energy. Tonight, we'll look at the tarot. We'll look at the astrology, how the energy is playing out. Like I've mentioned 3 or 4 times, we're in Sagittarius season. So it helps us kind of expand, grow beyond some of the limitations that we've been facing, especially with Scorpio energy. Scorpio reminds us to connect with the occult, our intuition, our spiritual senses, maybe those things that we're hiding from ourselves. I know, I feel you, girl, 100%, Karen. I'm ready for some good too. And honestly, this has been all across the board. It's not just like, I will say, and I'm saying this in hopes to bring comfort, that so many people that I come into contact with, whether it's just, you know, in my daily living or clients or, you know, whatever, there is this desire for things to move forward. Things have just been like weird and stagnant and uncomfortable, and it's just not fun anymore, you know? It's interesting too because Pluto energy is so about change. And it's taking a long time to see some of these changes manifest that we're really longing for. What I'll say is don't lose hope. You know, life is life. It moves at its own pace. Sometimes we move a little bit quicker, sometimes not so much. And there's always value, right, in both aspects. I think, unfortunately, we've kind of had to sit in some heavy stuff lately. And also, I want to say, Karen, too, like not just to you specifically, but just in general, that's why I've started to do the Sunday Fun Days. Whoop, whoop. Because I think it's, you know, regardless of where we're at, even in times of hardship, challenge, there's always good. There's always good we can find in situations. There's always those silver linings. I'm not trying to be too altruistic or like tell you to avoid the hardship. That's not what this is about, right? I think it's actually really important to acknowledge what's happening and the difficulties in front of you. And I think a lot of times when we acknowledge, that actually helps break up some of the energy, some of the stagnancy that we're facing. Also, at the same time, it helps us recognize what we're actually dealing with, and that can put a different timeline on things, right? Depending on the beast that we are dealing with. So that's why I like to start the readings off with these energy cleansings. Just set the tone, set the vibe for the reading. Cleanse out those places we're feeling blocked, stuck, limited. I do personal readings. I offer a variety of healing and wellness services. Readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, where it's headed, definitely hit me up. Or if you are looking for more of a rebalance of yourself, your mind, body, soul, I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. So when we're connecting with ourselves, when we're feeling strong, grounded in ourselves, that's where we're really manifesting our most fabulous life, so to speak. And I would love to support that for you in whatever way possible. I think we all deserve it. I think we all need to tap into it. I think that's actually what makes collective humanity vibrant and fabulous and interesting and diverse. And yeah, I would love to support that in whatever way possible. Definitely hit me up. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. So we'll start off with this energy cleansing. Just like I said, set the tone, set the vibe. It's a great time to set your own intuition as well, or intention, excuse me. Especially if you have something on your heart and mind. I know I'm kind of like going back over some stuff, but I just I don't know, like I'm a little wound up tonight. Apparently the anxiety is high. Well, let's look into it with the energy. Let me get through this and then we'll kind of figure out what's going on. All right. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value. Excuse me. Pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so we may see and understand the messages clearly and help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, Spirit guides, guardian angels, Mama Love. Mama Love. So sorry. My allergies are sky high or just like going bonkers right now. There's a lot. Well, we're in a fire season, right? So there is a lot of intensity. Fire energy is very intense. And, I think like Scorpio season brought us a lot of emotions. There was a lot of ups and downs. And now we're kind of contending with like whatever we were dealing with. And trying to figure out like the best way to move forward, right? I think that that's some of this energy of like wanting to be on the next best thing. Not good, bad, right, or wrong. There's no judgment behind that. I think you're ready for it. 100%. We'll take it. We'll take it. Oh, that's a lot. Here, let me do this. So we have ether, we have synchronicities. So like your intuition is really speaking to you this week, especially about right place, right time. So really keep your intuitive antennas up, right? Like if you hear that thing, go to this store or do this now, or, call that person or whatever it might be, follow through with it. Obviously don't do anything that's like, if you're in a bad fight with someone or if in a bad situation, maybe don't do that. But I'm hearing this is all about that intuitive direction, if that makes sense. Those places in life where, the simplest explanation, your mind told you to take a different route, and then you didn't do that, and then you hit some traffic or whatever happened, right? And this is like basically saying to like listen in a little bit more this week. There are some things being uncovered, but it might not be so apparent, right? Like it might not be that thing that's so readily understood on the surface. And part of this, it's the subtler things is what I'm hearing, because this energy of like reawakened sageness. It's all about refinement. We've kind of been seeing this come up a lot on the channel. Conflict is on the bottom of the deck. So unfortunately or not, sometimes we kind of have to deal with whatever that conflict is in front of us. And I feel like this is a lot of things that are outside of us. I don't think it's necessarily within. If it is within, it's the things that are kind of like, it's those outside circumstances that are dictating what we think, what we feel about ourselves, etc. So this week, like I said, we have both Saturn and Mercury going direct. So it will be, I think that's nice. I think it's welcome. I think we kind of need it for a minute, What I like is moving into Sagittarius season, the energy's good. It's nice. It's something that we're looking for that breath of fresh air, just like you were talking about, Karen, earlier. Like, you're ready for things to be good. I'm ready for things to be good too. Like we've kind of been in this like weird, ambiguous space for a hot minute. It's not 100% comfortable, but there's a lot that goes into it. This is like, the anima is the masculine component where, yes, it does require a lot of thinking. It does require a lot of strategy to move through. But I think we've been dealing with that a lot for a while, and it's getting a little bit annoying or exhausting or whatever. So like I said, like beginning of the week, there's a lot of positive transits, and we're feeling good. We're feeling good. We're feeling like maybe even a little bit better than what we have been. What I will say is like be mindful of that, because if you've been following along on the videos, I've been talking a lot on how there is like resistance. Did I pick this up upside down? How there is resistance to Uranus. Like Uranus is like tensely aspected right now. And Uranus is usually about like expansion and growth and like innovation and finding creative ways to solve a problem or connect with people that like, you know, are your wish fulfillment, like community, people that just like vibe with you, that understand you, that get you, right? But it's tensely aspected right now, and specifically in regards to like self and communication. And it is making things emotional. I think like what I'm seeing topically in the astrology is we hit the ground running, right? Like we open up to Sagittarius season, we hit the ground running. It feels exciting, you know, like there's hope on the horizon, and then nothing, right? And then things like literally kind of like fall flat. And I think that that's where this like water, or I'm reading this as an emotional component, come into play, because it almost feels like we're being put back at square one is what I'm hearing. Beginning of the week, like I said, there's a lot of good transits happening. The downside of that is that like we can easily fall back into idealistic thinking. Someone is going to work out differently than what it did before. When in reality, we kind of like know the offenses. We know how that situation person operates. I apologize for the background noise if it is affecting this reading or you. But it's like, here's the thing. I'm kind of seeing like, you don't have to work so hard this week. You don't have to work so hard. I think there is this value of sometimes just like letting life happen, right? It's a very, it means that you're living life in a way that you're kind of hands off to whatever is happening. It doesn't mean that you don't have opinions or ideas about how you want things to go, or even what you want things to look like. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Because it doesn't mean like being willy-nilly to the energy. It actually just means that like you don't need things to happen in such a fixed way. Fixed energy is really not working well for us right now. Be mindful of that. That's also why water is in our overarching energy. It's the front and center focus. It's so easy to kind of like buy into this false belief. We talked a lot about this. What was it, last night? With our Sunday fun day, right? Like whatever something's trying to sell you, it's easy to buy into that false belief. Our fears, our anxieties, the things that, the places that we feel like we're not good enough. But it's actually not really true. And I think why this nothing energy is coming up beginning of the week is because there's not really a lot of challenges. There is some, like some of the main transits are Mars square to the North Node. Mars has been tensely aspected. It's about to go into retrograde next month. It's, I don't know, just like not, like Mars energy can be a little annoying. Like it just wants things to be how it wants things to be. It's fire energy. It's dominating. It's controlling, etc. And right now, it's not getting 100% what it wants, but it's also easy to buy into this illusion of like the places that things are working out. What I'm hearing is don't let that trip you up too much. You don't have to be on high alert, but you do have to be mindful right now. 100% because of the Seven of Swords. Sorry. I don't always look at the cards that I pull until they're down on the table. But what I'm seeing is like this energy of you like doing your own thing. You're good. You're happy. You're kind of in this very empowered state, and maybe you don't even see or expect something to come along. We have more tension as the week progresses. We'll look into that a little bit more with the tarot. Also, at the same time, Seven of Swords. Oh my gosh, King and Queen of Cups. Okay, so like you're picking things up, even if you're not seeing it play out physically in real time. Beginning of the week, it's like starting to manifest. It's like that pot is starting to boil. And you're seeing this. There's no question about it. There's no question about it because we see this Seven of Swords, King of Cups, whomever, whatever you're dealing with. Like, I don't know. I'm here, like what I heard is someone has something to say. Someone has something to say to you. I don't think they're saying it directly. I think there's a lot of indirect communication, or they don't want you to, like they're not going to tell you directly to try to make you jump through hoops, to try to make you figure it out. New beginnings is in your blocked energy. And so therefore, like, whatever you're dealing, like someone's trying to strongly resist change. They know you're doing this because, again, like it's not only marching to the beat of your own drum, it's like you're in step with yourself and in a strong and empowered way. And it feels really good. It feels really good. Like I almost see maybe a little bit of blind ignorance beginning of the week. Don't hate me for saying that. It's just I'm communicating that because I want you to be mindful of places where you might get a little sideswiped. Having some energy come in that you're not quite expecting, that definitely is present, not only within, like, obviously the cards that are being pulled, but also even in the astrology. Because midweek, even though it's not like worst case scenario ever, way more tension starts to surface. Someone doesn't like something that's happening because it's counterintuitive to their own desires, right? Six of Wands is someone's victory. Like they want to be the one winning. They want to be the one on top. They want to be the one who's succeeding. And I feel like as you're in this Chariot, Queen of Cups energy, whomever, whatever you're dealing with, doesn't really feel like they're the one winning. They actually are like, it's either jealous of you, jealous energy, or they just don't want you to win. It's as simple as that. I don't, like, it's weird because you're not weird, but like you're just not really paying attention. And I think this is actually pretty good for you. Because it's like, the more that you indulge, the more you indulge in this person, in this situation, the worse it's going to be for you. And so you're finding a way to disconnect. Even if, like, it doesn't seem like a lot's happening, the more you continue to invest into yourself beginning of the week. And we're seeing that because there's so much positive transits happening for us, which, what does that mean? That supports us, that makes us feel stronger. When we get something right, it's like, oh, I can do the next thing right too. You know what I mean? It's just like this boost of inspiration, this boost of encouragement. And it needs to be, because midweek, it starts to feel a little bit daunting. We're seeing the moon tensely aspected to Venus. What are some of the main players midweek in the astrology? Venus is always also in conjunction with Black Moon Lilith. Be really mindful of people, past energies, people that can kind of convince you of things that, like, especially when you're not feeling good, or like you're not feeling completely settled about a person, about a decision, a situation, etc. Venus in conjunction with Black Moon Lilith can talk about how people can kind of get one over on you. And especially with Venus tensely aspected to Uranus, That's like something doesn't want to see a different perspective, right? Like it's kind of just like if you really want to be in love, and then you meet someone who's only trying to use you, but you convince yourself it's love because like that's what you really want. And yeah, like maybe there is love there for a period of time, but then eventually it falls flat. Or eventually it's like there's this clarity that comes through that something wasn't really what they were saying they were going to be, And unfortunately, it's not that easy to turn a blind eye to things right now. Like, yeah, we can insist on how we want things to look, even if it's not the reality, but it's really going to hurt us in the long run. And that's basically what this like perseverance Ace of Swords is talking about. It's hard to deny right now. Like yeah, exactly. It's hard to deny whatever this is. Like it does feel like someone, I mean, we've been getting the King of Cups a lot lately at this channel. Someone who is really emotional. Like, I mean, I'm hearing like just doesn't even have their emotions under control. There's so much water energy. I feel like this person is probably even trying to emotionally attack you, whether it's happening in real time or like it's just these subtle energies. Because like I said, midweek we get a little bit more tense. There's not as many favorable aspects within the astrology. And a lot of where we're seeing that tension is, like I said, that Uranus transit with the sun, with the moon, making us emotional about the things we have to change. Venus with, again, that like, if we're really comfortable in a pattern, it can be hard, right? Or even just like hard for another person. Like you could be completely over something, but someone else could be coming in and being like, vying for your energy, like wanting your attention, wanting you to look their way. And if they're not getting it, then they're going to try all these other avenues, right? I'm picking up this kind of like annoyance. It's an annoyance from someone who you're not getting the truth from with this Seven of Swords. You kind of know about this. This is a huge, not even a roadblock, but this is just someone who's like intentionally being a thorn in your side. Intentionally. Again, because like they don't love what's around the corner. They don't love that like either you're moving away or it's not as interesting anymore, or it's just like they don't want you to see that. Because if you do, then you're actually connecting with your happiness, right? You're actually connecting with things that are like good and positive for you. And midweek, I don't know if it's about illusions as much. I just think like Sagittarian energy, fire energy, it's ready to be on to the next thing. So like kind of how you were talking about Karen earlier, right? Like we're getting so tired of the BS that we have to deal with that it might become tempting to like give up, hands up in the air, okay, whatever, maybe this is what I need to be doing. Like kind of selling ourselves some lies, right? Things that are not really true. And I'm saying this also because it looks like there's people that are confirming this. It looks like there's people who are actually like weighing in on this. Whether they're trying to make it harder or not, I don't know. It looks like just a lot of emotions. It looks like a lot of games. I don't know. It kind of feels to me like, does this really need to be this way? That's what I keep feeling. And whatever the energies coming towards you are telling me yes. But you're kind of saying like, I don't know, maybe not so much. Or maybe I just want to be happy, And unfortunately, that does mean this sense of perseverance. We're also in the holiday season. We often have to see people that like might not vibe with us, or family that we wish were not family, or whatever that may be. And we just kind of have to make peace with it. I'm saying that because it makes a lot of sense with how that like midweek energy is coming out. What I would say, like, in contrast to kind of what I've been talking about with the astrology, Venus is positively aspected to Black Moon Lilith, which basically means you're going to be able to sift through it all. You're going to be able to see through people's falsities or their desire to present you with a false self. You'll see through their lies. You'll see through like whatever they're trying to hide. And I think that that's kind of like the key right now, you know, is for you to trust yourself. Someone might be pretending that they're hiding, but they're not really hiding, you know. And I think a lot of what I'm hearing is like a lot of what they're doing is actually like they're telling you point blank, even if it is in a manipulative way, right? Like they're telling you point blank what they think, what they feel, even if it is through manipulation. And I know that sometimes when people are being manipulative, it's hard to see that. It's hard to see that. The world, the sun, clarity. End of the week, not as much tension, but we're dealing with the beast of ourselves is what I hear. So midweek, we kind of have to deal with other people, which actually, sorry, I didn't look at this, but true. Midweek, you know, we're dealing with other people. We're kind of just like dealing with outside things, environmental things, and it's bringing us to like, or it's forcing us, I should say, to look at ourselves, to look at how we're playing out, look at where, you know, we're kind of contributing into terms of dynamics, getting right with ourselves. Some of the main transits we see end of the week, the sun tensely aspected to Jupiter. So we're learning places that like maybe we haven't been putting in a full effort, and we need to change. We need to evolve. We need to do it a little bit differently. Again, I don't think you have to sacrifice yourself. That's not what I'm hearing. Sometimes we mistake it for that, or maybe I do. But there is this need to like, okay, so understand the ways that like you are taking certain things for granted. It doesn't mean the people that we're talking about tonight, because obviously we've had some people, some situations that are coming up that like, I don't know that they're directly trying to do something wrong to you, but they're not happy, they're not satisfied, and so they're projecting a certain thing, you know? And maybe you're not completely seeing the full picture. Again, not in a way to throw shade to you. I think some of this stuff, like, you need to maybe understand. Maybe you need some, like, feedback from someone or something. And that's where this perseverance component comes into play. I think you're really seeking certain information, or, like, there's something that you're wanting from the people around you. And it might come, but it looks like it might not come quite yet. There's more to be discovered. I hate even saying that, sorry. I'm annoyed at myself right now, because I feel like there's so much about like continuing to push forward, right? It's long-winded. That's what I want to say. It's like long-winded. New beginnings are not right yet. They're here, but they're not right yet. And we have to I think this is a lot about just like understanding who you are, where you're at, what you want and need, and then like the next practical step to get there. It's not a complete 180. And I think that actually might be getting us into a little bit of trouble lately, is this idea of like magic change. Like, you know, if I do this, then everything's going to completely like flip 180. And not so much, unfortunately, because of like those tense aspects I was talking about in the very beginning, especially with Mars. So I'm going to we'll do this closing oracle. It's one of my favorites. I am going to read out of the book. I hope that's cool. I really love the way the book, it's the periodic table, or not. Yeah, well, it's the periodic table. It's the table of elements. And I really love the way that this, sorry, my words aren't coming. I'm kind of bottoming out. I'm sorry. I'm tired. I'm like ready to go to sleep like now. Okay, let's look at radium. I'm going to read them out of the book because it's very poetic. It's very beautiful. Maybe I don't have to say more than that. I don't know. All right, let's close this reading out. Radium. Chlorine. Ironically, we got chlorine. What was that, yesterday? In the same spot. How bizarre. How bizarre. How bizarre. All right, and manganese. All right, let's look at this. I apologize if I just saw it moving a little slow. All right, radium. Deep in the Bohemian forest of Europe, uranium's problem simmered in his growing pitchblade waste. Hidden and evident, vibrant with an unmistakable, penetrating violence. Uranium's internal structure, extravagant decay, carried one of the most radioactive substances found in nature, radium. And within radium's havoc, life had buried the keys to its deepest secret, a map of the atom structure. Uranium, in his dilapidated state on the forest floor, could no longer hide the secret locked inside of radium. A ruinous occult priest, whose silent silvery white, soon-to-be pitch-black hands, the cosmic rays of the universe lay gleaming. Radium suddenly freed left the once mighty primordial uranium behind to decay and entered the closing years of the 19th century, disguised as a charismatic healer with a futuristic, eerily glowing aura. Promising cures and enlightenment, he poisoned our bodies, and for the price of our soul, he happily unlocked the atom structure, forever disrupting being's lasting and rhythmic accomplishments. Radium is a warlock, conjurer, a traitor, a disruptor, secret, ill intent. It's interesting because, well, we see this even with the Seven of Swords, King of Cups, but even like walking into this reading, it's like picking up just a lot of people, situations where there's been secrets, where there's been hiding, where they don't want to be honest about certain things. It's fear, right? There's so much limiting energy that's happening right now. And it's a reminder, right? Like, it's a reminder. I mean, we can all choose whatever we want. That's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of life. It's the beauty of free will, right? Ironically or not, I was like watching something today and it was just like about karma. And it's like, yeah, you can choose that, but your karma is going to come back and bite you, you know, if that's what you think is going to sustain. And we know when things are not going to sustain us, right? We know when things are going to be deadly, toxic. Things are, going to lead down to this path of destruction. I think the interesting thing, I'll read the chlorine excerpt, but it's hard to sometimes see and differentiate what that is. Oftentimes we want to buy into something that seems so assured or convinced, or maybe is willing to control us, So we'll give control away type vibe. Chlorine says, starting from her existence, chlorine's dual nature, outwardly good but inwardly shockingly evil, has had to be conquered with sheer force. At one moment, she is elusive, sublime youth with stainless mystic soul. At the next, a vengeful demon apprenticing in the dark arts of death and destruction. A spiritual struggle that moves from blissful realms of purity to forbidden grounds of torment and loss. Which of these spiraling natures is Chlorine's true self? Which will be the conqueror? As both twist within her, who will have the last backward glance, but for the final leave-taking? Chlorine is volatile, erratic, unreliable, superstitious, and emotional. And I think that really tags back to being able to sift through and decipher between. And when we're able to do that, then we can push through. I think a lot of times we get put down when we feel like there's no way out, right? When we feel like someone has that ultimate control, or we're going to be screwed over because of this, that, and the other. And I feel like a lot of the messages that are coming up, as much as it is telling us hey, this might not be done right now, it's also asking us to push through, to be better, to be stronger. Let's look at manganese. It says, a monumental spirit or solar spirit. Manganese is the supporting pillar in the photosynthesis process. A sustaining dynamic voice that summons all his realms to grow, liberate, and unfold with encouraging, strengthening confidence. Wise and versatile with useful knowledge, manganese is a protective, industrious father. A journeyman with magnetic, priestly energy, bringing surprisingly fortune to the world's smallest and largest substances. Manganese is father, wisdom, authority, guide, prosperity, and benefactor. I feel like this is energy waiting for you on the other side. We have to go discover self, right? I think that's the baseline right now, this week specifically, is not being afraid to connect with self. There are some heavy things that are happening. And yeah, as much as this Sagittarius energy is bringing in momentum that's making us excited to grow, to do, to evolve, whatever, at the same time, we still need to get through the other stuff, the stuff that's kind of mucky and annoying and messy and whatever, right? But getting through it means that we need to take a look at ourselves. And I'm not saying you have to criticize yourself or whatever. This is a lot about taking inventory on what feels right and good. What actually is authentically investing in you, and then you can therefore invest in it, versus the superficial, right? The things that are taking for granted, that don't see the value, that don't see, and I'm saying this in a way that it's irrelevant at this point. These are people, these are situations that are just creating chaos or blocks or whatever. And whether you've given them too much benefit of the doubt, whether, whatever, they just happen to be in your life, you happen to have to deal with them, etc. When we connect with ourselves, when we see ourselves, sorry, through that lens of power and discipline, being able to listen to what we want and then acting accordingly, that is where we see growth, right? That's where we see growth beyond some of these limiting circumstances. There is limitation here, unfortunately. And it's vacillating back and forth. This is coming up a lot in our readings lately. It makes a lot of sense with how the astrology is playing out. Sorry, my voice is giving out on me. I'm sorry. I hope it's not too annoying. It might be annoying for you. I apologize. I'm going to close out the reading. It's been a long minute. Thank you so much for your time, for your energy. I hope you found messages that resonated for you here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Definitely drop comments below if you did. I love to hear, I love to just connect, say hey, see how you are, see what's going on in your life. I love that part of the channel. Not only just reading, but connecting as well with the community. So thank you so much for all your love and support my way. I'm sending that love and support back to you. Have a great week. I'll talk to you soon.